I mean, it feels like it's been so long since I got on here and it's only been one day. Just so much has happened with the Maduro thing. For those of you who, are kind of just know a little bits and bobs about what's been happening out in Venezuela, um, the actual standing president of that country, of that sovereign nation, um, was taken, kidnapped by the U.S. government on the 3rd of January. Okay, they came in the middle of the night around 2 a.m. My friends, where we used to live on St. Croix, Virgin Islands, a lot of them heard the actual helicopters that were going to drop the actual missiles or to drop the bombs over Caracas, Venezuela. They heard those flights take off in the middle of the night, and she said it sounded like a train coming through her house. And then to find out, shortly after that they had been on their way down to Venezuela to bomb the place. And it's pretty crazy, at first they try to lie, the government did, and said that they only bombed, some of the military facilities and things like that, and the shipyards and all that. Come to find out, they were bombing even in residential neighborhoods. So far, they're saying the death count is around 80, and it's just unnecessary. And that you have to add with the already present count of bodies that they had on their hands from all of the dropping, these bombs on boats, small fishing boats that were in the ocean that were leaving from the Venezuela area, that could have had people from anywhere in Central, South America, the Caribbean on them. And literally weren't even boats that would be able to get all the way up to America with any kind of drugs of any sort. It was just a very impractical thing. They knew these weren't, drug related trafficking boats, and they just were acting like madmen in the ocean, and bombing these boats out the water. So with the boats, it was like another 100 people. So we're already up to about 200 people now that have been killed in a senseless way for no purpose. They have not provided any proof that um, Maduro, the president, really had any background of being involved in African of any sort. So we don't know that that is at all a truth. They have not provided any proof, and they have kidnapped him and his wife and have actually put them in jail at MDC in Brooklyn, New York City, y'all. The same jail that held Sean Diddy Combs for the initial, what, year that he was locked up before his trial, and then they moved him down to Fort Dix. What a coincidence, right? So he is now locked up, and his wife is locked up at MDC, and they actually were arraigned today. So they went in and met the judge that's going to be proceeding over their case. And what a mess. All of this for, the whimsical agendas of a very rogue, government, which is what we're dealing with right now. Okay, very rogue. They're very senseless. They're not coming with any real intel when they make the decisions to do the things that they're doing. They're doing everything based on instinct, based on personal vendettas. It's so much going on, y'all. Y'all have no idea. Elaborate on which part. So basically, I'm just giving us a little bit backstory about which government. Well, we're talking about Venezuela and the U.S. government having kidnapped the president, Maduro, Nicolas Maduro. Yeah. So that's what we're talking about right now. And yeah, so just saying all that to say, so they have broken a whole lot of international laws, apparently, the United States government, by going in there and removing the president in the way that they did. And the most ironic thing is that a lot of us, we knew this was coming. We saw this coming. I've been kind of talking about this for some weeks now. We did know this was coming. Trump was threatening. And by the time he had moved so much military down into the Caribbean, it was like, yeah, he's going to have to do something or he's going to look real crazy out here. And so we knew that this was happening. No planning. They're crazy. And so we knew that this was happening, but we thought that they were going to be installing a puppet this woman by the name of Machado in the minute that they did this, because that's what they like to do down here in South America, and that's what they used to do from the 50s to in the 80s, in the 70s. They were installing puppet governments in the different countries here in South America and Central America because they wanted to have more control over, the resources and control over whatever, they consider themselves to be operating under the Monroe Doctrine and all of its different faces and phases. And so the Monroe Doctrine, which is a couple hundred years old, said that Latin America and the Caribbean are the backyards of America. So basically, they aren't even really sovereign like that, like that. They actually are just places for America to, the United States of America, to come and do what they will with. And so at that time, they were, staging coups. They were coming in, setting up governments, and so we thought they were going to install this obvious puppet that they had planned to, but then they like turned about face and did something totally different, and we're like, yo, we're about to make the vice president now be the president. And it was like, what kind of crazy shit is that? So now the vice president, who is a full-on Bolivarian revolutionary, a woman, okay, by the name, I believe her name is Delcy Rodriguez or something. She was the second in command to Maduro in Venezuela, and then they try to, and the U.S. government now trying to say that they want to make her take the reign and basically do whatever the United States wants her to do. And so she has been resistant to this, supposedly. Anyway, we know there's lots of brainwashed and confused people out there about what's happening, and they don't know what side to look at things from. But a lot of the Venezuelans, just kind of like the Cubans in Miami, the most racist white Cubans in Miami, these are some of the people that are connected to more of elite families that were able to leave the country when it started going through all of its ups and downs. Nobody's saying dude was doing everything right in Venezuela. That has nothing to do with the fact that the United States government broke so many laws going in there, doing what they did. They're not allowed to be policing globally like that. Police at home. You don't go around the world trying to police things. So even if he was the worst president in the world, which there's no proof of that, but yes, it has been a very rocky time for them in terms of the way that they have dealt with the economic system in that country. And it's been hard for a lot of years. So yes, there are a lot of Venezuelans that are unhappy about how things are going, but that doesn't mean the ones that are living there necessarily wanted their president kidnapped and their homes bombed. So y'all need to cut it with that. Nobody's sitting up there happy that the U.S. came in and is dropping bombs on them and threatened to colonize their country. No one's happy about that. He is threatening to colonize their country. Okay, they're trying to force the vice president to take over, the control of the place so that they can also send down their U.S. representatives and try to maneuver and do whatever it is they want to do down there. A lot of people are saying it's oil, that is debatable. A lot of people are saying it's just all the natural resources. But one thing we know for sure, that as they stated in the National Security Strategy 2025, that they released at the end of November last year, that one thing for sure, they are trying to get Latin America and the Caribbean and Canada and even Greenland, which was in the news today, back under United States control. And so all of this is more about control than it is anything else. Venezuela has more oil reserves than anywhere in the world, and it's super crude oil. It's really difficult oil to drill. They don't have the infrastructure to even deal with that oil down there because it's all rusted out and in terrible condition. So for them to go in and try to take all the oil, it would take a tremendous investment and a tremendous amount of effort for them to be able to go in and make any real profit from that situation anytime soon. So everybody who's just like super basic on the surface of everything and saying it's just oil, no, that's just the picture that they're painting for you because they manipulate. That's Trump in them. They're very good at manipulating. They like to put things in people's heads because they know people will run with it and go and just keep parroting it all over the internet. But there's more going on than that. And a lot of what's going on has to do with them trying to reattain regional control, or what they think is their regional control, because they never had a good time or a good background going into other people's countries and taking over in the so-called name of democracy. Every time they do it, it's a shit show. Every time they do it, they make a mess. They destroy the place. They leave the place in shambles. Okay, so it's never a good thing when they come. And that's all there is to it. And homes were most definitely bombed. And see, I live in Brazil, so I know Venezuelans. So a lot of y'all just talk, 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 and go off in the mainstream media, but you don't have any kind of like on the ground anything. Okay, Venezuela is a neighboring country for me, and a lot of Venezuelans live here in Brazil. So I've always known Venezuelans, and then yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean, exactly. Okay, so the fact of the matter is they definitely bombed homes. People died. I'm sure some children died. And it's like all of that for what again? For one of the biggest criminals in the world to feel like he's doing something? Talking about Big T. To feel like he's doing something, to feel like he's exerting his power, all of that. Innocent people's lives, 80 people plus another 100 on fishing boats that were people from who knows? They could have been from anywhere. So yeah, this is what we're dealing with right now. They did arraign Maduro and his wife today at MDC in Brooklyn, New York City. And it's just on and on and on. I'm not sure where things are at right this minute in terms of them trying to get the vice president on board. And some people are even saying, thank you, Ray. Peace. Thank you for coming on. New USA. How do you define it? Okay. I don't know about the consciousness thing. Hey, Pamela. Where was I? But yeah, I'm not sure where things are at with the Delcy Rodriguez thing, with her being the vice president and President Trump trying to force her to, take over the country. Because, just like some people are even saying they think that she might have switched sides and set Maduro up. It's all of that is to be seen. We really do not know right now. What we do know is that beyond them stating that they want regional control again in the national security strategy. There also is, a lot of people are saying, some of the experts and the correspondents, that there is this background, there is this aspect of it that is about letting China know that they're not really welcome in the Americas. Because as y'all know, China is doing a lot of business in Venezuela. They're doing business in places like Jamaica. They come in and they provide infrastructure. They do things for places when they come through. Nobody's saying China is to be trusted or anything like that. But, some countries, especially ones that err more on the leftist kind of communist side of things, do find themselves doing a lot of business with China, and supposedly the U.S. is feeling away about that right now. There's so many levels to this. So the VP is really interesting. She has been coming. She was interesting. Like at first, Trump was calling her supposedly and saying, "Hey, we want you to take over," instead of the obvious, what a lot of us thought, the puppet that they were prepping to go in, Machado. So they were talking to her, and she seemed like real, like, "Yo, I'm not doing anything. The real president is Maduro. You need to bring him back." That was her first reaction. And then, as of yesterday, it seemed like she was more on some, "Okay, we're ready to kind of be cooperative." So we don't know. That's why some people are saying, "Damn, did she set him up?" But I wish they polled Venezuelans both in and out of Venezuela about the degree of support and opposition to yeah, and all of that is fine. And, you have to understand, a lot of people are very brainwashed. But I won't say, those who are on the ground in Venezuela, those are the ones that I would most want to hear from. And so far in my experience, they don't support what happened. And that's firsthand. I know Venezuelans. Anything I watch mostly here on YouTube, is going to be more on the ground correspondence. I'm not really as interested in hearing what like Americans in the US think or want to, you know what I mean? Or have to say about it as much. I more would rather hear from like people who live in Venezuela or Venezuelans themselves, right? And so for what I'm hearing, they're not pleased. I just don't know how you could be pleased with this. A foreign entity has taken the president, whether you like him or not, for good or for bad. You know what I'm saying? We haven't seen any proof of him out there being, like a real crazy body snatching killer president or nothing like. They've not brought any proof of any of that to the table, and so we don't know about him being that bad outside of the fact that there's something really shady and weird going on with their economic system for sure, and that people have been suffering for many years there. But with that being said, the average person out there is not happy that their home has been bombed, and that the U.S., the most shadiest, shisty government known to mankind, is talking about coming in there and taking over. No one's about to be welcoming that. Period. It's just that's all there is to it. Trump is not very okay. The Venezuela diaspora will likely have different opinions on it for sure. And just like the Cuban diaspora, a lot of them were the ones that were the plantation owners, the ones that wanted to keep brown people working for pennies and sharecropping. Those are the ones that left. Those are a lot of the ones in the diaspora outside of some of the ones that just fled. Like there's a ton of Venezuelans here that are just regular people who just came and were trying to just find a better life. But the ones that made it up north and stuff like that, a lot of times, they left and they were disgruntled and they weren't pleased. And Venezuela been having problems for a long time. It's not, Maduro didn't start this. When Chavez was in, they had, a lot of ideals, a lot of good things they wanted to do, but they've been having problems for a long time. And it did not just start with this particular president. Oh, okay, Putin saying that. Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't trust any of these heads of state, none. I think they all backstab each other or play games, or they're all in cahoots and are manipulating and playing games with us, the masses. That's really how I feel. So I really don't even know what to make of all of it, to be honest. According to TikTok users, Alexa says there are no scheduled. Okay, whatever. Spin it all you like you like. Okay, all right. Well, we'll see what happens, okay? If you think that America is going to do good by Venezuelan people and by Venezuela by coming in there, we just going to sit back and watch and see, okay? Because you have to be pretty slow to not be able to look back at the track record of the United States and know what kind of a presence they bring and what they bring to the table when they go in invading countries. It's never good. It's never good. And then you have to research. You have to know a little bit about history. You don't have to be a history buff, but you can't. It's not good to be so self-deluding. It just is what it is. Trump is being a busybody. That's a good way to say it. I would agree. A busybody. He's also like a raging lunatic, from what I can see, and a raving lunatic. And he's just. They think he has like severe personality disorder, like malignant narcissism. Folks say he got dementia. Folks think he's dying. I done seen doctors saying like they can look at him and tell he's got major kidney damage and heart problem. I'm like, oh my God. So he's probably just out of his mind, so toxic and full of hate, They just out of his mind. He's just making all these crazy decisions. He's got all these lunatics around him, guiding him. He don't know nothing, probably don't barely know how to read nothing. We know he's not the brightest tack. So he's just out there following whatever his so-called cabinet is telling him to do. And also, whatever he feels like doing, because he's also into just, I have an instinct about this, and we're just going to do it. Just a real stubborn old nutcase. And this is what the whole world is on edge about right now. It's like, what is he going to do next? What's next, y'all? Like, what's next? We already got him threatening Mexico. He threatened Mexico. Shit. Yesterday, he threatened Mexico, Colombia. They're threatening to annex Greenland. He's threatened one more. Oh, Cuba, big time. Okay. And then he's threatening to bomb and strike Venezuela again. And, so it's just all very interesting, to just see the level of lunacy that is out there. And then to see the level of lunacy that comes on the chat here, like y'all are really sick in the head. Y'all are really, anybody who thinks there's anything good that has come out of this situation and anything good that's going to come from it is sick in the head. So, I'm just hoping that what we would all hope for, like Congress would do something, they would shut this shit down. But I think we already know what their track record is. It hasn't been good. So we just have to sit back and wait and see, y'all. And I do wonder, it makes me wonder, like, okay, living here in South America, living in Brazil, Brazil hasn't been threatened yet, but yet back last June, there was all kinds of crazy stuff going on between Brazil and the United States when he was trying to bring those tariffs down, and was he had gotten upset with the president of Brazil because of the past president being in prison for some crimes he had committed. A president that I guess Trump really liked, this guy Bolsonaro, like that the public of Brazil pretty much detested, except for the wealthy. And so he ended up in prison. And so the current president, Lula, was behind that and was, all for that. And so I guess Trump was upset, and his peoples wrote a big long letter about it and published it to the state.gov, and then they try to hit Brazil with like 50-60% tariffs, and the president of Brazil was just not with it, like was not with it. He wrote, they had drew up a big declaration of the sovereignty of Brazil and submitted it. They were back and forth in conversation with Trump for a long period of time, talking about everything, talking about the tariffs, and ultimately they came into a good kind of balanced space together, and Trump repealed them tariffs after all. So Brazil hasn't been threatened yet, but we do know how whimsical and how on the spur of the moment and on the spur of an emotion Trump can be. So Trump is Daddy Trump to Venezuela and Nigeria and Jamaica, amongst many. Yeah, he also threatened Iran yesterday. It's so much. They've already supposedly been sending drones out to Nigeria, not to mention the Sahel, which is, cracking. They had almost had a coup there 2 days ago, another coup that got, that they had a counterintelligence on and were able to stop it in its tracks. So that's Burkina Faso out in the Sahel. They almost had a coup in Burkina Faso 2 days ago. So yeah, it's a lot going on. I mean, I feel, for me, I'm like, I think it's important for us to watch, pay attention, but not to like freeze up or feel fearful about it, about what's coming, because a lot of negative stuff is going on, but it's all happening because of certain things spiritually that need to come through, that need to take place. And it's just a purge, it's a clearing that's going to have to happen. And it might be painful in a certain way, but it has to come through. It has to happen for us. So right now, we're witnessing like a major shift right now. I hope freedom for people of Iran. It's a lot. It's a lot of people that need freedom right now. I hope freedom for all of us. What are some signs of positive things? I don't know what that means. I'm not sure what you mean or in what way you're asking that. It's because of people's fault. Okay. Yeah. I would just say, the best thing that we could do is stay educated, stay aware, stay awake. Don't close our eyes. Don't get too, because Americans in particular can be so tuned out and not kind of not geopolitically savvy, don't really know much about anything that's going on around them. And so I think it's important that more of us, start to open our minds up, try to learn, try to understand how history is impacting the present, you know. Guidance and protection to you, my sister. Oh, same to you, Lady of Zion. Appreciate you coming on. Um, to really educate yourself, but also to make sure that you're spiritually sound. You know what I mean? That you are, connected, you tuned in to your own personal guidance, your intuition. If something's telling you that you need to shift, move around, do something different, don't be afraid to honor and listen to what you're being told and how you're being guided right now. I think that's really important because that's pretty much all we got. But the internet is so full of information that you could go any which way with the information that's out there. We really don't know anything about any of this stuff. We're just going off of what kind of feels the best to us as individuals, but we don't know how much of this stuff is true. This might all be one big psyop to begin with, and God knows the United States is the kings. That's ain't nobody psyoping like the U.S. And I've been known that since I was a young woman, and I'm up there now. Um, who's that behind? You stupid! Don't scare me now. Yeah, don't play. Do not play. But yeah, so that's that. Now you got me wanting to move around. Shit. But I am out here by myself. But yeah, and that's it, y'all. We just have to stay aware, stay awoke, stay woke. Is anyone else hearing any other kind of news or intel that you have that you want to share on here right now that I can read? I've been trying to keep abreast of things. I also had to work and take care of my business today. But, I try to stay as aware and bring whatever I can to the table. Yeah, so those are some of the countries that have been threatened in the last 24 hours. People seem to really think that Iran and Cuba will be next. And for me, I'm just thinking, how does one do anything to Cuba? If we think about the how many years Cuba has been struggling, just trying to stay alive, just trying to function. And one of the allies, their biggest allies, is of course Venezuela. As a matter of fact, 30 Cuban guards, because a lot of the people that were guarding um, Maduro supposedly were Cubans. And I found out that it's very typical for especially leaders that have gotten into their roles maybe through coups or stuff like that. They tend to have more paranoia and don't necessarily want local people guarding them. And so I don't know if he came in that way or if he was elected in Maduro. I know there's a lot of controversy on that, but supposedly he had a lot of Cubans working around him and acting as guard, and a bunch of them were killed. And y'all know that Mark Rubio guy is, some kind of psychopath and is obsessed with Cuba, which is his family's homeland. Because, again, the elite, trafficker wickedness, crazy Cubans were kicked out of there and ended up in Miami area and in different parts of the US. But they got a real bone to pick with Cuba in terms of communist Cuba, right? And they want to tear the government of that island down and replace it with something completely different. They're like obsessed with Cuba, especially Mark Rubio. So there's a lot going on with that. A lot going on with that. And so a lot of people think that's going to be next on the agenda. We don't really know. I just don't think it's going to stop. With this mess in Venezuela. Do you think Maduro was expansionist when it came to Guyana, or was it just hostility? Oh, okay. You mean the that land that they have been battling over? I read that Venezuela captured boats from Guyana, and the two countries were having problems when it came to oil. Oh yeah, they've been having a lot of issues. I know. They have that issue with, I forget what the name, I think it starts with an E, with that portion of land that they've been. I hope you guys can still hear me. But yeah, I don't know a whole lot. I do need, and it's funny you brought that up because I have been just really trying to study up on all the countries, especially North, like kind of more up on the coast and the North Coast of South America and stuff more, including the Guyanas and Suriname. So I'll definitely try to dig deeper into all of that. But oh, so sweet. Thank you, Lady of Zion. Um, but yeah, there's a lot to learn, and also understanding the history. This is such an interesting continent. I mean, those like it's so interesting, like the Guyanas, Suriname, how different those cultures are, and then going into the ways that Spanish speaking Latin America were able to free themselves from colonialism, and the tie-in of Haiti and how Haiti played such a huge part and was such a huge influence because of the Haitian Revolution on Latin America, and then Brazil and the unique way that Brazil kind of just rolled out of colonialism, and now Brazil is like this kind of rooted peacemaking place down here in South America. And it's just like kind of moderate. The government is more left leaning, but just kind of moderate, and it's considered like a peaceful, huge chunk of South America. When a lot of these countries kind of like they pop up with a lot of different drama and issues at times. So and Brazil is just so gigantic, so that is probably has a lot to do with how grounded it feels and stable it can feel, because it's just so gigantic. But this is such a fascinating place to be, a place to live. I'm so grateful. And if you all ever have a chance to come to Brazil, hit me up. We do tours and all of that. But saying all that to say that who knows if Trump is going to be coming up threatening Brazil again. We don't know. No, nobody knows. So living down here in Latin America in a place that's so peaceful, like where I am, it's still, I feel like I don't want to get too comfortable. Me and my kids do well down here, but you don't want to get too comfortable. You really want to make sure that you are watching, minding your P's and Q's, really paying attention to what's going on, staying awake, staying aware, and also having a plan B. So even those of us that have already left the United States and are, and know we don't want to be out there, we still got to have plan Bs. Everybody got to have plan B, C's right now, and ways that they're figuring out how to stack and invest and do things so that they'll be good going into the future, because it's a really rocky, topsy-turvy time. It really is. So yeah, anyone have any questions or anything y'all want to talk about? If I know anything about it, I'll talk about it. If I don't, I won't. I don't even try to act like I know about stuff I don't know much about. But, and I'm no expert on geopolitics or nothing like that. But because I'm out here in the world and I'm out here with my children, it behooves me to at least stay somewhat aware of happenings, right? And that's what I just say to, because a lot of people are so bogged down in the stress right now in the US of just living there and trying to afford the lifestyle. It used to be just way more affordable, way more human friendly, okay? And it just has become this crazy place where the rat race has been put on like hyper speed. It's crazy out there. And that is the reason why I have always kind of raised my children outside of the US as much as I could. There were times when we would be living there, but we would usually leave pretty quickly. I never was able to really take that energy. And I do suggest to you all that want to learn more and understand more about what's happening with Venezuela and how it might impact so many things in the world right now and in the region, that you also make sure you're looking at more news, or people and folks who have more firsthand knowledge, and not allowing it to go through too many different channels before you get that news. Because I find here on the internet, things can just get really watered down, really confusing. People make a lot of errors when they're reporting stuff. And just, sometimes you're just telling people what you heard, and that's okay. But we do make a lot of mistakes. It happens, and so it's good to try to go to the ones that are right there in the mix, that kind of know what's really been going on, what the real sentiment of the people is. And we can't really use the diaspora and some of those Venezuelans that are in the US as a measuring stick of the mentality of the real, like the Venezuelans, you know because could very easily be more of an elite class, and they just don't really count when it comes to the issues that the folks are going through, on the planet right now. And that goes for everywhere, not just Venezuela, so because they just have like their level of options that they have, and capacity is just different from your average person. So they can't really be even paid attention to like that. Like, you want to see what the regular schmojo, like the regular folks, is going through. And in my experience, and from talking to some of my brethren and folks that I know that are from Caracas, that are from, areas outside of Caracas, is, none of them are happy about this. How could you be happy about it? There's nothing to celebrate, really. I mean, it's not a nice thing when another country attacks your homeland and then comes in and has all these nefarious things that they want to do, and talking about sending oil people down to survey the scene and get to drilling and getting all the infrastructure put in and all of these. It's like, wow, all of that. And so the way that you decide you want to do that is by totally toppling the government. Like, where are they? Like, what is that? Y'all, I mean, we really need to get our heads together and stop thinking that this manifest destiny stuff and all of this, America trudging around the world and doing whatever they want is normal or good, because it isn't, and it never has been. From the time the Europeans arrived and, obliterated the native indigenous population of the United States, it's never been good. Everywhere they go is sorrow, tears, and blood. You know, that's what Fela Kuti said, and I say that is them to the T. Sorrow, tears, and blood, and everybody who works for them, even if they look like me and you, or look brown, or look anything, anyone who is in cahoots with them, that's what they come with. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. Peace, peace, peace. That's the definition of Christianity. I mean, I don't know. It could be. I mean, at the end of the day, uh, it's just a lot of brainwashed folks. And yes, that Christianity thing just definitely has helped keep people locked mentally and locked up mentally. Oh, I'm definitely from America. Okay, yeah, because I'm talking about things in a way that makes me sound really American, right? Y'all just be coming on here saying any old stupid thing. Sorrow, tears, and blood follow the Crusades all the way to now. Well, I mean, that's what they come with. That's what they arrive. Every shore that they come to is that. You know, I mean, maybe when Fela made that song, he was referring to, you know, the police and the establishment and those that were working basically for these beings. But these same beings are going all around the world destroying shit, you know, and making it extremely difficult, you know. Well, the good thing is I didn't come on saying I wasn't from the US. So that's the good part. So yes, you are right. And yes, that's what it is. And it is what it is. I don't live in the US, and that's the important part. So yeah, y'all. Um, that's I'm just grateful. I appreciate you all coming on here. Definitely, especially those of you who had something, you know, intelligent to say in the comments and triggered a conversation. I appreciate you. But yeah, y'all keep your minds open. Check for local and Venezuelan and correspondents that are down here in South America and in Venezuela. Okay. Oh, that's okay. Nobody's worried about what you want. Why don't you take your troll ass on to the next? But yeah, you are fortunate to have major escape. Yeah, yeah. I never could really be out there like that. Go samurai. I mean, this is like I never really could stay out there like that. So I'm so happy that I've been away as long as I have now. It's been like over 7 years straight. But before we were here in Brazil, we were in the Virgin Islands and we were just, you know, posted up. And then before that, we were very back and forth. We would be on Jamaica, Puerto Rico, you know, overseas. Before that, I was way out in Africa, different places. But, you know, we just been traveling and just staying gone as much as we could because it's just that spirit, that vibration is so jacked up. Oh, are you from Jamaica? Yeah, I used to be out in Orange Bay with my ex. I used to be around Portland a lot, Montego Bay sometimes. So, and you know, I hope everything's okay or getting better on Jamaica. I know y'all really, man, it hurt my heart to see it. But and that's another, you know, another place. There's so many places that's struggling right now that's going through so much, and we don't know if it's even we don't even know if that was really even a natural hurricane that hit because we know these diabolical ones have the capacity to manipulate so many things that it's hard for us to even say what's real and natural anymore and what isn't. You haven't got out since 2000. Oh, that's a long time. Oh shit. Yeah, that's a long time. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Well, I mean, at least you have been out before because I feel very sad for the people who just have never left the U.S. Like they really think that bubble is anything like real life, and it's sad, man. It's really sad. You tethers. Oh, I knew you were one of those stuck people. I call y'all the stuck people. Go on and go from here, please. You really don't have anything useful to say, and you just trolling, and that's all y'all ever do is troll and don't never have nothing intellectual to say because just followers and cult members. But anyway, yeah, so I'm so glad my ancestors are definitely indigenous to the United States and everything like that. I'm clear about that. My peoples have been there, been there, been there, but that don't mean I'm gonna stay there and go through all kinds of crazy hell and live like a subhuman. And that's how I always felt when I was there, you know, from growing up in California and just all the bullshit. You've been to Puerto Rico a lot? Okay. Family politics that's kept me away from traveling back to Jamaica. Yeah, Jamaica ain't no joke now. Jamaica is Um, Jamaica is a very, challenging place at times. I would stay out there for long periods from time to time. But I always, for me as a woman and as a mother with a small child and stuff, I did at the time I had only one child. Well, yeah, I've only taken my children separately, but one at a time to Jamaica. But I never felt totally safe there or that comfortable. So it's not somewhere that I've been going a lot as of late. Um, so yeah, so that's that. Have I been to Belize? No, I haven't been to Belize. I have not been to Belize. I'm not that drawn to Belize. I know there's some people. I've got a lot of friends that have been in and out of there. I have friends that own property out there and stuff like that. I just have never, like, I just go where I'm drawn. Like, I'm not someone who wants to go to every country. I really don't care. It's plenty of countries I will never care to step a foot on. I don't care. I know where I love and I know, where I'm drawn. And the place that I keep getting drawn back to is most definitely Brazil. We've lived a lot in the Caribbean. We love the Caribbean bad, like bad. Love it. But there was just like some political stuff and so much stuff going on the island that we lived on last that I just got tired of it. Hmm. You're drawn to the Latin countries? Yeah, they're dope. I've lived in Costa Rica, lived in Mexico a lot, been going back and forth to Mexico since I was a young person living in California. Lived in Mexico, Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, and Brazil. That's about it, probably. Yeah, for Latin countries. Spain, I've lived in Spain. Don't like it at all. I'm playing dress and playing the projects. Oh my gosh, you're so funny. I can show you right now where I'm at. And you couldn't say shit. You sound so dumb. Um, but yeah, and so all I have to say is y'all just stay informed, stay up on what's going on, and stop drinking the Kool-Aid with the mainstream media and watching Fox and getting brainwashed out, and just learn how to think for yourself again. A lot of folks have lost the capacity or the ability to think for themselves. They really just need things input into them and being fed information, but they don't actually know how to reason anymore. And so that's really sad. And so we need to get back to that. Yesterday I was so inspired. There's a place here in Sao Paulo called I think it's called ISM, and they had a beautiful exhibit of Gordon Parks, beautiful photography, and it was just so nice to see African American culture and see all the pictures of Malcolm X and all of just to see us being represented so beautifully at that museum. And then I went downstairs and it was really mystic because there was another exhibit downstairs and I didn't really know who the photographer was. Me and my kids were there, and so we were like, oh, let's go in. And so we went in, and it was a woman by the name of Agnes Barda, a French woman, but she had all these amazing shots that she took of the Black Panther Party in the 70s, shots of like Santiago de Cuba, where she was spending a lot of time in Cuba, out there on the eastern portion where it's like Haitian culture, and a whole lot of shots of um, Fidel Castro, which was really interesting, amazing shots of him. And then Gordon Parks had a huge Muhammad Ali section at his exhibit. So it was really, really powerful. And it just made me think about Cuba with all the threats to their sovereignty and the things that they are facing right now with this madman on the loose. You're half Indian, half Nigerian. Oh wow. Woo. My Nigerian side is in government in Nigeria and tied to England. Interesting. Cuba's on my travel destination list, and DR. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll never step foot in the DR just because of that history. I don't respect that. And then Cuba, I actually was trying to go to Cuba once through with my daughter from Mexico, and it was the weirdest thing. This is one of the times we ended up staying in Mexico long term in the Tulum area back in like '09, and we were trying to go to Cuba, and we got to the airport and our passports were like kind of moldy. and they wouldn't even let us travel. It was so sad. And so we ended up having to go up to, what is that area? I have some friends up there. It's super hot up there in the Yucatan, to the passport office to renew and fix our passports. By the time we got back down to, the Riviera area, we were like, bump it. Let's go to Tulum, and we ended up living in Tulum for a long time. Yeah. So happy New Year to everybody in America now. Okay, honey, time to be in charge of our lives now. Ashe. Like the old days, exactly, when we had communities and we worked together, we had businesses, even though they was busy trying to bomb everything we had, we still were at least trying, you know what I mean? At least wanting to have some sovereignty. And that's why a lot of people say that even that desegregation thing was a whole scam, because that's when things really, really went down for people that look like us. So I'm very, very grateful. I am very, very grateful. Grateful for y'all coming on here, and yes, we gonna keep a positive energy about what's going on and just send hopefully a lot of love and support to Venezuela. Prayers up, anything you can do. I don't know, for those that are politically minded and into some of that, I know they're doing a lot of protesting in the states around this, especially outside of the MDC in Brooklyn, where they're keeping Maduro and his wife. I believe her name is Syria or something like that. So yeah, they are up there protesting hard. If that's your thing, they there. Okay, but I wish y'all a wonderful week. Let's pray there's no more bombings, no more mess this week. We need peace. We need peace. Everybody's nervous systems want to relax and take in and, start the new year in a better way than this. I mean, we can't take back the horrors of what happened, 2, 3 days ago. But, I just, hope things settle down. I think we all need a break from this kind of like bombardment of insanity that we've been having to process for the lessons since this cat got back in office. So, yeah. Okay. So y'all have a beautiful, beautiful day. Oh wait, Frank, the celestial activities are down. I'm waiting to see what these humans in the Peachtree City covenant of which, oh Lord, you must be in Georgia. Listen, it's definitely some celestials down here helping out, because we need it. We really, really need it, you know. But yeah, it's so funny. It's so funny coming on these lives, and it'd be so many like entities and trolls on these lives these days. That's why I know that YouTube is very infected, because the amount of NPC activity on these videos these days, and it didn't even used to be like this as much. But okay, y'all. Have a blessed day. Peace and love. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for chatting with me. Drop any notes below and check me. I'm going to put my information, contact info, and some links if you're interested in any product or want to book a tour or anything like that. We do 2 tours here in Sao Paulo. We used to live in Bahia too, me and my kids, but I'm more focused and based in Sao Paulo in the South more, and I prefer it. So I'm definitely down to schedule tours with people who are interested in, experiencing this kind of urban Brazil. You're in Georgia dealing with demon time. Oh, okay. Well, sounds interesting. All right, y'all. Have a blessed day. Thank you for coming on.